Next up, Harlan Bailey, on deck.
My name's Harlan Bailey. It's just a privilege to be here with all of you tonight in this magnificent movie palace, built in 1925 after the Great Fire of 22. It's a wonderful, wonderful venue. I was up in the Historical Society Museum, and they have some clippings in there, and I found one that claims that Duke Ellington has been on this stage, Jack Benny, Bing Crosby, Der Bingle. There's a little bit of controversy about that. I've also been told that this is only a movie house. It was a place where everybody in town came on Friday night and Saturday night, dressed up in suits, ties, skirts, and makeup. And all the young couples would get way back up there, way up there. The young people more interested in each other than they were in the film, I guess. And this was a place where all the factions of the community came together with all the others instead of in the clubhouse or the lodge where they belonged. I myself, well, I thought I saw Will Rogers in here 3 years ago, standing right up on this stage, roping and joking. Turned out to be Ron McDaniel, actually. Yeah. I haven't been home on my birthday since 1966. That's when I was drafted. When I came home out of the Army, my mother says, "Don't go see that uncle of yours down in Monterey." But I'd already been there. And he took me on in Alaska, so I spent the next 49 years in Bristol Bay. Personally, the 6th of July is my birthday. That's the peak of the salmon season. I find it life-affirming to be standing in a boat full of in a boatload of fish. The piece I'm going to read is actually not about Alaska. It's about herring fishing in San Francisco Bay. My briefcase. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's called Urban Fishery. It's about my herring fishing days in San Francisco Bay. That day will come when, by the grace of God, old and incompetent, oblivious and incontinent, I will be spending what's left of the pocket change of my life on my back, in a berth assigned to the nearly dead, in a room that smells like stale hospital food, like cafeteria food, actually. Perhaps one of my old friends will come to visit me, still wearing his work clothes. Maybe he would have spilled a little diesel fuel on him. Or maybe a diesel bus will pass by an open window and the fumes will blow in. This serendipitous combination of ambient smells will send my enfeebled and diminished mind, my soul intact, perhaps, back to the herring boat, to the confined cabin where we slept and ate our meals. That's the essential boat smell. I will be there again with my captains and mates on the old boats, the Prime Time, the Italian Beauty, the Foxy Lady. Uncle Sam and his brother Squash will be there. Cousin Rico and his partner Guzzy, they'll arrive. Freckles, the ones the old Italians call spreckles. Dominic and Tony Gio, old Italian bachelor brothers who fished with their father in a sailboat out of San Francisco. They will come. I'd like to see Marie DeSantis again. She was the first female fisher I ever knew. I think she's a lawyer in Santa Rosa now. I will greet the boys from Bellingham, They were great fishermen who didn't need nicknames to be great. Maybe we'll go up to Raccoon Straits to catch some herring. We'll set our nets again under the rich people's houses. We'll do this work right underneath their beds where they're sleeping the secure sleep of the well-fed. Pianissimo, says Tony to Dominic. Don't let the cork line rattle on the gunnel. We don't want to wake him upstairs. Once again, we'll be running our boats across San Francisco Bay. One more time, we're going to pull night patrol on the shimmering Mill Pond Bay. We search for Clupea herengius, a genus of bony fish. They spawn in a flash mob. When night falls, they run. Individually, the little fish seem to have the mentality of a piece of seaweed. In schools, their behavior seems to add up to more than the sum of the individuals in intelligence and wisdom. In peril, they gather together in tight balls for protection against predators. Only in the sex act, when they randomly mill in the company of, but out of sync with the school, do they truly become individuals. At that time, enthralled in their reproductive process, they'll be most vulnerable to our nets. It always looked like magic to me. We're going to go out on the flood. We're going to go down to the Red Blinky in front of Richardson Bay and move out of Raccoon Straits. We're going to go down to the Naked Lady in Mud Bay. We'll look across the Sausalito drop-off and go over to Yellow Bluff, where we will meter the escarpment. We'll circle Alcatraz. We'll search the channels, undersea valleys, and pinnacles, looking for the little fish, all the while noting their movements and speculating where they might go to spawn. Moving across the intertidal zone, we inspect the Marin shoreline with its mini environment, wooded valleys which open up into little coves that seem like tiny exotic worlds. We cross the Golden Gate under the bridge where rising sea levels flooded interior valleys through narrow gaps in the coast range. No sign, no seagulls, no sea lions. For the last time, together, we'll visit that singular city, that post-war city of free-range wildlife, city of peerless beauty and impossible dreams, golden city existing only on a promontory in our hearts, brave new city, midway through the American century. We'll key the radio and inform the code group that we are beginning our run at Crissy Field. We'll look into Gascow's Cove in Fort Mason. We'll pass the ferry building and the big bow and arrow. We weave between the piers. We can find no sign. South of the Bay Bridge is a different terrain than north. Here there is no major river system draining the watershed of a vast landmass. This body of water is shallow, with flat shorelines, saltwater marshes and estuaries, tules and mudflats. The bottom is a sloping valley, gradually climbing to shore. Now we're cruising the South Bay waterfront. We pass Willie McCovey Cove. We used to call it China Basin. We meter the shipyard in Mission Bay. The Spanish landed there and followed the creek up to the site where they built Mission Dolores. Mission Bay has been filled, and the creek now runs in a pipeline underground. Where we're headed is Hunter's Point, where the show will begin at sundown. There, we're going to look inside the 19th century dry docks and World War II piers, anchor and wait for the right time. Maybe we'll even take a look westward around the corner in front of that little estuary between Candlestick Park and the Naval Shipyard. Uncle Sammy and I once caught 41,000 pounds of herring there while Joe Montana won the Super Bowl not 3 miles away. The herring, when they come, will cross under the Bay Bridge and move south at the midwater in a 20-foot thick layer, 50 feet down the water column. The school will pass Hunter's Point at high water. The tide will go slack. The school will pause. As the tide turns, it begins to ebb. The ripe fish will form into tight, swirling balls and fall upon the shoreline, fall upon the nearshore, onshore structures. Like bouncing balls, the masses of fish hit the shoreline. Like pinball or pachinko, the bouncing balls light up in our set nets on the sonar. They're spawning in the shallows, where there are rocks, pilings, and seagrasses for their sticky egg masses to attach. Anybody on shore with a few fish hooks and some red and yellow and orange yarn can fill a 5-gallon bucket in short order. This is a wonderful protein harvest for the naturals. Once, we fished in one of the only true urban environment fisheries. It was and is a rich fishing grounds located in the middle of a major population center containing world-class cities grown together into an incomprehensible megalopolis. Two worlds, the world of fishermen squatting under the bridge on a bucket like trolls, the world of living on a boat selling fish, and the world of people driving to work on the bridge overhead, all existing in the same space at the same time. The Hudson River has a commercial shad fishery. Herring and shad are Clupeidae. They are cousins with the same spawning behaviors. People have been harvesting there since before the Dutchmen arrived. Fishers still do it within sight of New York City. If the telling of this story seems a fancy, I have to tell you in real time, it was a dream to me. Thank you.
My name is John Palms, like palm trees.
Were you a performer last night?
Yeah, I was at the Voodoo Room.
Oh, I think that's where I saw you. Weren't you the guitarist? Well, we could.
Okay, so what kind of pithy comment would you like me to make for your? So, like I said, I did 10 years of TV news, so I'd be looking for the soundbite about this point.
Well, how long have you been coming here and performing?
I don't know. I think it might be, it's probably going on 9 years. And it's really incredible here because, see, I'm from Juneau, Alaska, and I'm a long way from home. But 2 nights ago, I met a guy who I took a tugboat ride from Ketchikan to Seattle in the middle of the winter with. I haven't seen him for 30 years or something. And I never expected that I'd see him here, but it was an incredible adventure. It was a big adventure. And I won't go into it, don't have the time for it all here, but just the fact that he was here, and there are so many other people here that not only understand fishing, but they know the places that I used to fish, and they know the people and they know the boats, and so it's something special. And so here I do have people that have common experience, and some of it's not always good, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. It must have been wonderful to bump into this person after 30 years.
Well, it's great just because I get to tell the story to people. So.
Well, is there a performance you're looking forward to tonight?
Just my performance.
Oh, of course. Is that at the Voodoo Room again?
No, I can't remember where it is. I think it's at the Fort George Brewery, but I think, anyway.
Okay. Well, you did poetry, right?
No, I sang songs.
Oh, okay. Were you with the guitar?
Yeah, you don't remember any of the songs. You don't remember I spent the best years of my life working on a boat named after somebody else's ex-wife.
No, I would have remembered that one. The beautiful song and the story was very nice too. So, well, maybe we'll see you tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.